that 70s show. Then they break up for absolutely no reason after he starts hanging out with Diddy. Then he marries Demi Moore, who drained him of all the adrenochrome she can, and apparently he replenished himself by doing inappropriate things with their daughters.
One, yeah. Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. Can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, so it's not really a party story, but our relationship was really bizarre. So it started over punked, because he was like, yo,
don't punk
you
me.
can't punk me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's on the table. He's like, not me, I'm off the table.
Malaria no more. Ashton's organization. Give it up for Ashton Kutcher one time. That's why we here. The whole unit, malaria no more. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that we all...
Mila Kunis has reportedly broken up with Ashton Kutcher after his name came up in the investigation surrounding Brittany Murphy's death and Diddy's other alleged crimes. People close to them say the split had been building for a while, but this recent news has brought a lot of dark things from Ashton's past into the spotlight. From attending Diddy's controversial parties to making disturbing comments about Hilary Duff when she was only 15, things are starting to pile up. Now, everyone's taking a closer look at Ashton's history, and it's raising serious questions. So get comfortable, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see Ashton Kutcher.
The reports that Ashton Kutcher, he's worried that Diddy might lie on his friends. You heard about that?
But that's what I've been saying. I said, if the federal government wanted somebody more than they want Diddy, if he has some information about some people that they would rather have other than him, he's able to get that information to them. But they gotta want it. They gotta want it. And Ashton Kutcher and him they were real tight. One time, me, him, Ashton Kutcher went to a Nets game, and we met Jay.
After months of constant rumors, it looks like Mila Kunis has finally decided to end her marriage to Ashton Kutcher. This came right after talk started spreading that federal investigators might reopen Brittany Murphy's case. Think about it. Your partner suddenly wants a divorce right after the police begin looking into a mysterious death you've been loosely tied to. That's a major red flag. Some even believe Mila may have come across something that links Ashton directly to what happened to Brittany, and if Ashton has anything to do with it, then chances are Diddy's name won't be far behind either. The strange friendship between Ashton Kutcher and Diddy didn't start in an ordinary way. It began with a warning that felt more like a threat. Back when Ashton was hosting MTV's Punk'd, he had the idea to prank Diddy. But before he could even begin setting it up, Ashton got a call from Diddy himself. And this wasn't a polite, please don't do it type of call. It was more like, you better not. Ashton has said that Diddy made it very clear he didn't want to be messed with. In other words, Diddy shut it down before it even started now. For most people, that kind of call would have ended everything. But in Hollywood, it had the opposite effect. That phone call sparked what would become a headline-grabbing friendship between the two. After that, Ashton and Diddy were constantly seen together on red carpets, talk shows, and high-profile parties. One of the biggest events they were both known for were Diddy's famous all-white parties in the Hamptons. These weren't your average get-togethers. They were over-the-top, exclusive, and became legendary. Ashton didn't just show up to these parties, he hyped them up. In an interview, he once said that Diddy's parties were a must for any single guy who wanted to live it up. Ashton even said, "This is 20 years ago. 19 years ago, we were having a lot of fun together." Around that time, Ashton had just finished filming, just married, and didn't waste time jumping into the dating scene. Not long after he started seeing his co-star Brittany Murphy, their chemistry on set quickly turned into something real. By 2003, people were talking about them possibly getting engaged. They were even seen wearing matching rings, which had the media in a frenzy. But it didn't last long. After about 5 months, they ended things. That's when things got even more interesting. Right after his split with Brittany, Ashton was already being linked to Demi Moore. In fact, May 2003 marked the start of their relationship. Despite the large age difference, Demi being 15 years older, the two jumped in with full force. They were constantly in the news, not just for their red carpet appearances, but also for their blended family moments with Demi's daughters. By September 2005, they were married. Ashton also embraced being a stepdad to Demi's 3 kids from her marriage to Bruce Willis. But the public never stopped asking what really caused Ashton and Brittany's breakup. There were always whispers that Ashton tried to pull Brittany into the fast-paced, wild lifestyle tied to Diddy and others in that circle. Brittany, it said, didn't want any part of it. Some conspiracy theories go even further, suggesting Brittany had dirt on Ashton and did something serious enough that she might have been planning to go public with it. Then, Just days before she was allegedly going to expose them, she passed away under strange circumstances. It's impossible not to notice how her death echoed that of Kim Porter Diddy's ex, who also died suddenly after rumors that she was planning to reveal things about Diddy before her death. Brittany reportedly became extremely paranoid. Friends said she genuinely believed someone was following her or trying to harm her. She wasn't just saying things, she took major steps. To protect herself, she supposedly had fingerprint locks installed at her house and added a full security camera system. It seemed like she was getting ready for something. It got to a point where she tried to cut herself off from the outside world. She wanted to feel safe in her own home. But even with all the security, it seemed like she couldn't shake the fear. Some believe this behavior shows she knew something was wrong, and possibly that someone was out to silence her. Her sudden death shocked everyone, and it left behind a trail of unanswered questions. Over the years, people have looked back at her final weeks and found more and more things that don't quite add up. With the recent news about the possibility of reopening her case, those old suspicions are bubbling up again. And Ashton being pulled back into the spotlight because of it only makes the story more complicated back then. People close to Brittany said her fear was real and intense. She had opened up to her friends about weird things happening around her and how she didn't feel safe with certain people. To outsiders, it may have seemed like just another case of a Hollywood star under pressure, but looking back, it feels more serious. After Brittany passed away, Ashton made a public statement about her. He described her as the kind of person who would always bring energy into any room. During an interview in May 2010, he shared that when you go to a party and everyone's just standing around waiting for someone to dance, Brittany would always be the first to step onto the floor. He said he wanted to focus on remembering who she was and how she made people feel, instead of trying to understand her death, because, in his words, there was no way to make sense of it. By November 2011, however, Ashton had his own storm too. Deal with rumors started spreading fast about him being unfaithful. And this time, it wasn't just talk. Soon after, Demi Moore confirmed they were ending their relationship. She had supported him through a lot, but the cheating stories became too much. A year later, in December 2012, Ashton officially filed for divorce, but the process was anything but smooth. It dragged out for nearly a year and only came to a close in November 2013. But even while the split from Demi was still unfolding, Ashton had quietly moved on. By 2012, while the divorce was still ongoing, he had started seeing Mila Kunis there. Relationship caught attention quickly, especially because he was still legally married when they began dating. Still, after things finally wrapped up with Demi, Ashton and Mila became inseparable. It looked like a fresh start and a new chapter for both of them now. Though that chapter may have reached its end. Looking back, Ashton's past seems to raise more concerns than it ever did before. When Diddy ended up behind bars, Ashton didn't just fade into the background, he cut all ties. Reports say he went out of his way to put distance between himself and Diddy. Apparently, Mila also made it clear that she didn't want him to have anything more to do with Diddy at all. But that strong stance didn't come out of nowhere. Ashton's track record shows a pattern of choosing to stay close to people with questionable reputations. One of the most damaging moments came in September 2023, when the truth about his support for Danny Masterson came out. Masterson, who played Hyde on that 70s show, was found guilty of *ping to women back in 2003 and received a sentence of 30 years to life. Even though Masterson denied everything, the court's decision was final. What really set the internet on fire, though, was that Ashton, along with Mila and a few others, had written letters defending Masterson. Yes, the same Ashton Kutcher, known for his strong stand against human trafficking and abuse, had written a glowing reference for someone convicted of sexual assault. In those letters, Ashton and Mila spoke highly of Masterson's character, calling him a loyal family man and even a role model. Many couldn't understand how Ashton could stand by someone found guilty of harming others. The reaction online was immediate and intense. Fans, survivors, and critics didn't hold back. They were furious and accused Ashton of being two-faced. How could someone who built a name for himself as a supporter of victims turn around and defend someone convicted of serious crimes? It didn't make sense. The backlash kept growing, and eventually Ashton and Mila tried to control the situation. They released a video together, apologizing for writing the letters and saying they never meant to hurt anyone. But their apology didn't sit well with everyone. For many, it came too late, and felt like they were only trying to calm people down instead of owning up to their mistake. It seemed more like a move to save their image than a true apology. Ashton's reputation took a huge hit. The image he had spent years building, activist, tech founder, family man, started to fall apart. On top of that, old clips and connections started resurfacing, painting Ashton in a different light, one that was far from the clean-cut image many thought they knew. A resurfaced scene from Punk'd caused even more anger, especially one that showed Ashton making uncomfortable remarks about Hilary Duff when she was underage. That clip made people wonder even more about who Ashton really is when the cameras aren't rolling. As these stories continue to come out, it's clear that the questions surrounding Ashton Kutcher aren't going away anytime soon.
Hilary Duff is in Liz McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen. And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18, along with the Olsen twins. Any 15-year-old.
Making jokes about a 14-year-old becoming legal, especially while mentioning Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, wasn't just inappropriate, it was flat-out disturbing. Back then, people may have dismissed it as typical guy humor or written it off as just a joke. But today, audiences see it very differently, and for good reason. Those kinds of remarks weren't just in poor taste, they were dangerous, especially coming from someone who later built a reputation around fighting for the safety of young people. And then there's that story about Danny Masterson and the bet Ashton made with him about kissing Mila Kunis when she was just 14. Even though Ashton and Mila later got married, knowing that her first kiss was part of a bet makes it all feel messed up. Mila has talked about it before, saying that kiss was awkward and stressful for her. Now learning the full story behind it makes everything feel even worse. What might have once seemed harmless looks very different now. Then there's the heartbreaking case of Ashley Ellerin. She was a 22-year-old fashion student Ashton was dating back in 2001. One night, Ashton went to her place. When she didn't answer the door, he assumed she wasn't home. He later testified that he thought the red stains he saw inside were from a spilled drink. The next day, her roommate found her murdered, stabbed 47 times. The killer turned out to be Michael Gargiulo, also known as the Hollywood Ripper. Ashton wasn't involved in the crime, but his court testimony became an important part of the case many years later, even though Ashton didn't do anything criminal in that situation. It's another dark moment connected to his name. Over time, people have started looking closer at these moments and realizing how many troubling stories are linked to him. Whether it's about friendships, parties, or other situations, a lot of it now feels unsettling in hindsight. There seems to be a pattern: jokes about underage girls, kissing a young co-star on a bet, supporting a convicted criminal, and being surrounded by people facing serious accusations. Some of it may have been bad choices or being loyal to the wrong people, but it's hard not to see how all these things together raise serious questions. Ashton once stood before Congress and gave a powerful speech about protecting children and stopping abuse. He became known as someone who stood up for those who couldn't protect themselves, but now people are wondering how real that image really was. Was he always genuine? Or has he just been playing a role this entire time? These days, more and more people are starting to think that maybe we missed something. Maybe there's a side of Ashton that the public hasn't seen or didn't want to see. All these stories that seemed isolated now appear to be part of a bigger picture. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments and be sure to check out our other videos to keep up with everything that's happening. Until next time, take care.